Uh-oh. Ah. Hey, what's up? Today we're going to paint some frog camo on this green plastic army man. He is no longer green, but we are going to enhance him with this frog pattern I found from Wikipedia. Here's a look at what it looks like when he's all done, if you're impatient and don't want to jump to the end or watch the entire video. And here I have a list of all of the paints that I used throughout the video. I'll do my best to chime in when I switch out, but you'll see they're mostly Vallejo with one Citadel pot paint thrown in there. Full disclaimer here as I get started, this is going to be sped up by about 8 times throughout most of the video because the entire process took about an hour. I'm using a Kolinsky #1 brush, and I've got that loaded with olive drab to get us started. And what I'm doing is going through and adding little dots in a random sort of application. I'm being very conscious to not create lines or create any sort of repeating pattern because, again, looking at the reference, you'll notice that there are really no symmetrical shapes. Everything is very organic and overlaid in a very seemingly random design. So what we're going to do is take that same approach with the application of the paint blobs and vary the sizes and placement as best we can so that they don't start to feel and look like they are repeating and creating some sort of a uniform texture. So I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go in and add flat brown. Again, this is a Vallejo paint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my reference image and I'm going to sort of look at how these things are interplaying with each other, noticing where the colors sort of blend and morph together. You'll notice in this version that I've got as a reference that there's more than the 3 colors that I'm actually painting with, but due to the scale of the actual figure itself, and this being the first time I've ever painted frog camouflage, I decided to stick with a very limited color palette and to explore what I could do with those limitations. Okay, so what you're about to see me do is what's called glazing, and essentially this is a very thinned down version of the olive drab, diluted with water. In retrospect, I probably should have glazed the miniature first before I started adding the blobs of color, but you live and you learn, and I think it turned out pretty cool regardless. So I just wanted to pop in real quick and say this is where I add the third color to the camouflage, which is English uniform. I think anywhere you apply it, whether it's first, second, or third, it's one of the colors that makes the thing even more realistic because it's like a mustardy brown, but it's like a mid-tone in between the olive drab and the darker flat brown. So it ties them together in a very organic way. So this is the guy, you can see it in the pictures too. In the pictures, the contrast, or the final shot rather, the contrast is turned down a little bit. So you get a little bit more, it's a little bit darker. It really depends on the lighting, but the camera's doing a pretty good job too. In person, it's much closer to like a realistic color. So it blends in with natural elements really nicely. I really like the paints. So here I'll just slow down the video back to real time and show you how I apply a glaze to the boots. I'm using tan earth here. Again, this is just a watered down solution of the Vallejo paint, applied very, very thinly, but with not a lot of water loaded in the brush. You just really want to thin the paint, but not apply a lot of water, because that would be a wash, and then that'll pool and you'll get a different effect. And for painting the gun, I used a mix of the Doom Bowl brown that I'm going to use for the base and tan earth, just to kind of give it a bit of a unique wooden color. I'm going to apply it pretty liberally. I'm just going to go up and down everything that I think should be painted in a wood color. And then over top of the barrel, I'm going to do what's called black gray. I didn't include that in the original list because I honestly just forgot about it until I got into this point of the video. But it's not that big a deal. Black works great for barrels. You can mix in a little bit of gray to do a highlight. I also applied that to the handle of the shovel you see sticking off of his belt there. The final steps here were really to go in and start to touch things up, increase a little bit of the contrast with the brown blobs, apply some more tan earth for highlights where I thought they made a little bit more sense, and I darkened up the boots a little bit by adding a little bit more brown, Doom Bowl brown to the existing tan, but really wasn't anything significant. It's just a little bit of me playing there. Here you can see a little bit of lighter application of the tan earth into that gun wood. And yeah, man, this is pretty much it. I was pretty happy with how this guy turned out. In a second here, we'll jump to the application of the Doom Bowl brown on the base. It's just a very watered down mix that I applied 2 coats to, and eventually I might go back in and add some tufts or some very fine sand, and maybe I'll clip them off the base entirely and put them in a diorama. I'm not really sure what the future holds for this guy, but it was a really fun process to sort of experiment with the frog camo, and I really appreciate my subscriber who recommended I do one like this, so thank you. Your name keeps changing when you comment, so I don't know your name, but thank you. And thank you to everyone who has liked and subscribed to my videos and requested additional content. I've got a list going of everything that I was asked to sort of paint in different styles, and I promise I'll get to as many as I can. It's just finding the time, is always a struggle, especially when you're raising a 3-year-old. So here's the final shots of the camouflage that I painted, looking through my little magnifying glass. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought. Was this video helpful? Would you do anything differently? Am I an idiot? Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.